Are we rolling? We're rolling. Okay, here we go. I was going to do all this in one video, and now it's 4 videos, but I think it's better to have them shorter than for me to just be blabbing on. So we are looking at section D. The instructions say each passage that follows is notated so that the placement of the beats is obscured in some fashion. We do not like that. Without changing the way the music will sound, rewrite each one to clarify the beat placement. This may involve breaking some of the long notes into tied shorter notes or rebeaming groups of notes. Okay, so we're going to go over to my handy dandy notepad here, and let's write number 1. So number 1, they tell us this is in cut time. Cut time, if we haven't talked about that, or if you didn't read the chapter, read the chapter. Cut time is the same as 2-2. 2-2 and cut time mean exactly the same thing. By the way, common time, the C, is equal to 4-4 time. FYI. So C means 4-4, and a C with a line through it is called cut time, and that's the same as 2-2. Okay, so what they give us is quarter note, half note, quarter note, an eighth by itself, and then 3 eighth notes beamed together, and then 2 quarter notes. So there we go. That's 2 measures of music. I'm going to erase this little thing. And what I'm going to do is work, in the workbook they have them side by side, but I'm going to work down below so we can keep track of stuff. Oops, I'm not writing a clef. I'm writing cut time. All right, so we're going to rewrite this so that it's very clear. Well, first, before we can just start rewriting, we have to determine what's unclear about this. And determine what's unclear about rhythmic notation means to figure out what the beat note is and to divide the measure into those beats so you can clearly see where the beats should be. All right, well, we just said this is the same as 2-2 times. What do we know about 2-2 time? It's simple duple. 2 on top, 2 on the bottom. That means there are 2 beats in a measure, and the half note gets the beat. So if I want to show 2 half notes clearly, well, this starts out with a quarter note here, and then to complete beat 1, we need another quarter note. Well, that means that this dividing line is going to go right down through the middle of that half note, putting 1 quarter note on this side and 1 quarter note on this side, and then tying them together. See that? I divided that half note into 2 quarter notes because the dividing line between beats 1 and 2 went right down through the middle of it. So I'll go ahead and write that. What was quarter, half, quarter is now quarter, 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 with the 2 in the middle tied together. Now that dividing line between beats 1 and 2 can be seen very clearly. We can tap our foot here for beat 1. We tap our foot here for beat 2. But just like the instructions asked us to do, the outcome musically is exactly the same. What you're going to hear is exactly the same for both examples. Okay, let's look at the next one. Again, same time signature, 2-2. We're in the same piece of music. We want a half note worth of stuff to start out with for beat 1. Well, it's all eighth notes to start out with. How many eighth notes do we find in a half note? Hopefully you're getting good at this. Eighth note and half notes are 2 notches away on the rhythmic hierarchy. And when you're 2 notches away, there are 4 of the smaller unit in the larger unit. So there are 4 eighth notes in this half note, beat 1. So that means these 4 show beat 1. So all that needs to happen to make that easier to read and make more sense of it is to beam all 4 of these eighth notes together. There's our beat 1. Beat 2, we don't have to do anything to it. Everything's fine. If you thought for a second, well, can we combine those into a half note? Sure, you can, but then you've changed the original sound of the music. This music here, this measure in 2/2 time, if you're going 1, 2, 1, 2, da 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 da, 1 E and a 2 and 1 E and a 2 and, well, same thing here, 1 E and a 2 and 1 E and a 2 and. If I change that to a half note, I have changed the sound of the music. Now I hear 1 E and a 2, 1 E and a 2. So we don't change it. We leave it just as it is. We don't need to go combining things unless it makes it clearer. Like in this case, we combined the beaming of these eighth notes because there's no point. Like we saw in the previous example, when you see a note intentionally separated from another beam and not included, there needs to be a reason for that. And so if we left that as it is, like that, it'd be very confusing. The musician is going to think, when they look at that, they're going to think, oh, there's a reason for that. Is that a beat? Are we in some kind of strange eighth note time? So this is the clearest, simplest solution. Okay, let's for the sake of time, I'm going to go. Let's do number 4, which is a. Just bring this up. Is a compound meter. They tell us it's 9/8. They give us a half rest. So you're already, while I'm writing this out, you're thinking, okay, 9/8, what does that mean? Every single time for the rest of your life, when you look at a time signature, you're going to ask, is it simple? Is it compound? Is it duple, triple, or quadruple? What's getting the beat? That is your job forever. Okay, second measure has quarter, 2/8, quarter, and dotted quarter. All right. So there's our 2 measures of 9/8 time. Okay, did you do your homework? Meaning, in the last 45 seconds, did you figure out what the beat note is for 9/8 time? What is the beat note for 9/8 time? 9/8 time is going to have 9 eighth notes worth of stuff. And those eighth notes are going to be grouped into groups of 3. That's what a bar of 9/8 time looks like when it's all eighth notes. Well, you turn them into beat notes, and it's not staccato. It's a dotted eighth, dotted eighth, dotted eighth. All right. There's a nice clean picture of, well, as clean as it can be, of 9/8 time. Dotted eighth gets the beat. Sorry, not dotted eighths. Some of you are going, wait a second, man. Not dotted eighths, dotted quarters. We're combining eighths. Thank you for catching me on that. Dotted quarter notes. Groups of 3 eighth notes or a dotted quarter note represents a beat. All right. So then, dotted quarter. Let's start talking about beats. We're going to have 3 dotted quarter beats. Let's look at the first one. How many quarter notes are there in this half rest? This half rest right here to start with. Well, there are 2 quarter notes and a half. So right out of the gate, this rest all by itself is combining beat 1 with part of beat 2. We need to split that rest up and separate out a beat note. So a beat note is a dotted quarter, right? So I'm going to split out this dotted quarter rest, And then to complete that original rest, again, we want the music to sound just the same. I'm going to put an eighth. Okay, this little section right there, those two now represent what that half rest represented before. And now we can easily see the separation between beat 1 and 2. Okay, for beat 2, so again we've separated that out. Beat 2 now has this little eighth rest there, and then the next two notes that happen are eighth notes, and so 2 eighth notes would do it. 2 eighth notes would complete beat 2. Again, have the division of the beat and the beat note in your head, especially with compound time. You're thinking all the time, okay, every beat is 3 eighth notes or a dotted quarter. 3 eighth notes, dotted quarter. So here's a dotted quarter for beat 1. Here are 3 eighth notes for beat 2. Let's look at beat 3. Well, what's left? Oh, dotted quarter. Piece of cake. There's the end of measure 1. It's 9/8 time. It's triple. That means there are 3 dotted quarters per bar. All right, let's see what's going to happen over here. Now, in the next measure, we want a dotted quarter to represent beat 1. Well, what we're given is a quarter and then 2 eighths. So of that, how do we get a dotted quarter? Well, a dotted quarter is a quarter note plus an eighth note. So I'm going to draw the dividing line right down the middle. We need to separate those 2 eighth notes, unbeam them, so that this quarter and a single eighth become beat 1. Now what's left over is this eighth note, and here's a quarter note, same thing. Eighth and a quarter will make beat 2. So I'm going to take that, 2, and what's left? Hey, dotted quarter, we like that. That's beat 3. There it is, kitty cats. 3 dotted quarter beats. All right, so what's our lesson here? We can't have rests larger than a beat. They need to be broken up. We don't want to beam across beats. That needs to be split up. Sometimes beams are bad. We don't want to beam across beat dividing lines. Okie doke, have at it. Get into those next few sections. And I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.